Hey everybody, I'm the Shino Duelist, and in this video I will be going over the upcoming Rock Ritual archetype, Megalith. This archetype will debut in Ignition Assault, and while it has some wonderful facets, it also is a bit rough around the edges and overall may have a rocky start for its first wave of support. Something to know about Megaliths is that they are a ritual archetype that have no ritual spell. They do have some spells and traps, but the monsters themselves ritual summon each other out. In theory, this is wonderful as it cuts out the need of ritual spells, which in many other ritual archetypes feels clunky. I'll start with Megalith FeO. There are 3 level 4 Megalith ritual monsters. FeO is one of them, and it is their Searcher. It is a level 4 Earth ritual monster with 1600 attack and defense, and it has the following effect. You can ritual summon this card with any Megalith card. If this card is ritual summoned, you can add 1 Megalith monster from your deck to your hand, except Megalith FeO. During the main phase, you can ritual summon 1 ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field, including this card you control, whose total levels equal or exceed its level. You can only use this effect of Megalith FeO once per turn. Now, this card is wonderful because it lets you search any Megalith monster from your deck to your hand. It's a searcher for the deck, and every ritual archetype needs searching, as otherwise you won't be able to access your main monsters the way you would with an extra deck based deck. This card's good for summoning out your other level 4s. You can trade them out as you need using its own ritual summoning effect. It does not have much attack. It has pretty high defense. That's pretty common for a lot of the Megalith monsters and rock monsters in general. Overall, it's a wonderful card, gorgeous artwork, and a searcher for the deck. Next is Megalith Hadith. This card has the standard level 4 Megalith effect where it can tribute itself and whatever other levels you need to summon another ritual monster from your hand. It also has the effect of you can add 1 Megalith spell or trap from your deck to your hand when it is ritual summoned. Now, it is almost pretty much as good as FeO, except for the fact that, and I'll get to this later, the Megalith spells and traps aren't particularly good. Until we get some other support down the line, there aren't enough good spells and traps for this to search. It has a lot of potential, but it's going to be worth more in card economy down the line once we get more support for this as far as spells and traps go. Next, we have my favorite card of this set, Megalith Auk. Auk is my favorite for a few reasons. I love the artwork, and its effect is if it's ritual summoned, you can draw 1 card and then discard 1 card. That's not the best effect. It's a good effect. Nothing wrong with it, but this part is particularly good. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can ritual summon 1 ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field, including this card you control, whose total levels equal or exceed its level. That means you can summon out, as a quick effect, any other ritual monster from your hand, as long as you tribute it and anything else you need to meet the level requirements. This is insane for any ritual deck. I've personally been playing it in my Ritual Good Stuff deck to summon out Shino Birds on my opponent's turn, or the new Magician of Black Chaos Max. And that completely stuns out some decks when you, say, shuffle back the field spell they just activated with Shino Baroness Peacock and throw out a Amano Iwado onto the field so they can't activate monster effects. It's insane. Or you return 3 monsters to their hand using Shino Baron Peacock. Or you tribute a monster on the field and negate all their monster effects using the Magician of Chaos. And there are so many other monsters you can use with this card to summon onto the field, including the Megaliths themselves. Overall, this is my favorite card of the set. Next, we have Megalith Fallig, which also has amazing art. Love it. And it has the ritual summoning effect of the level 8 Megalith monsters. They all can discard themselves from their hand and tribute monsters from your hand or field to ritual summon a Megalith ritual monster. This is common across all 3 of the level 8s, and they basically act as the ritual spell for Megaliths. He has a very simple effect for his on-field effect. All monsters you control gain 300 attack and defense for each ritual monster in your graveyard. That's not too bad of an effect. He already has pretty high attack himself, 25, nothing to shake a stick at. It also stacks with other Falligs that you have. So if you have 5 ritual monsters in your graveyard, 2 Falligs on the field, that's going to be an extra 3,000 attack for every monster you control. Now, you won't necessarily get to that every time, and honestly, just having beaters isn't necessarily going to win you games in the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Format. But, in fact, in one of my duels testing this, I ended up killing somebody with like a 2,700 attack incantation. It was pretty ridiculous. I had 2 Falligs on the field with crazy high attack, and I ran him over with a 0 attack incantation that was boosted up. Next up, we have Megalith Beth Or, another level 8 ritual monster. It has the discard to ritual summon monster effect that the other level 8s have. And if this one is ritual summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of ritual monsters in your graveyard with different names and destroy them. Now, this isn't limited by anything, so if you have, say, 7 ritual monsters in your graveyard, you can target and destroy 7 cards your opponent controls. Now, I can tell you from playtesting that's honestly not likely to happen. You'll probably get 3, maybe 4, more likely 2, and it's a little bit underwhelming to use, say, on your opponent's turn with Auk, when you could use the Shino Barons to shuffle 3 non-targeting. It is a targeted destruction for Beth Or, which is not the best in our current meta, and it could definitely be good later. There's nothing saying it couldn't, but it would have been better if it was untargeted, in my opinion, or non-destruction. Next up, we have Megalith Eratron. Now, this card has a similar effect to the others, where it can ritual summon by discarding, but it's a quick effect, which is fantastic. Now, I wish it had better targets to ritual summon, because it only can summon Megalith ritual monsters. So, if you're going to use its ritual summon, you're summoning out your Searchers, Auk, a guy that boosts your attack, or somebody, Beth Or, that can destroy things by targeting. Now, Beth Or is probably the best one to summon off of this, but I wish it could have summoned any ritual monster. That would have made this card S+ quality, highest rating you could ever give it, would support so many ritual decks, but alas, it doesn't. And hopefully we get more Megalith support that gives us better options to interrupt the opponent. Now, its other effect on the field is a protection effect. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control, this is a quick effect, you can place a ritual monster from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy the card. Now, this is not a bad effect by any means, but I also think that there are cards that do it better. And it also shuffles ritual monsters from your graveyard back into the deck, which I don't like because, Fallig specifically wants ritual monsters in there, and you're kind of going against that whole strategy of where you try to get a big beater off of Fallig. It kind of plays against itself, and it only protects you against targeting and not any sort of destruction or any sort of removal or it doesn't negate other effects on the field, only targeting. So it's okay. It's not a bad effect, but it could have been better. onto the spell and traps. I mentioned it earlier, I'm not the biggest fan of these. They don't support the archetype as well as they could. First, we have a field spell, Megalith Portal. Its effect is the first time each ritual summoned monster would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. If a Megalith monster is special summoned, you can target one ritual monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of Megalith Portal once per turn. This is not a bad field spell, but it is a mediocre field spell. Protection from battle is pretty good, but it's not up to par with the other decks that are being released and that are strong right now. And if a Megalith monster is special summoned, you get to add one from your graveyard to your hand. That's a good effect. But when you have that card in your hand, it doesn't do anything to advance your plays. It is searchable, but in general, you would want other things to search off of Hadith to advance your plays, and this does not do that. It helps you retain cards you have, but it doesn't help you gain any advantage. And that's kind of the downfall of the spell and traps. Next, we have Megalith Immersion, probably the best out of the spell and trap lineup. It says you can target a Megalith monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. When it leaves the field, place it on the bottom of the deck as a once per turn clause. This is a good card. I wish it was a continuous spell, but it's a continuous trap. It can definitely be a good card. It would be great if it had other spell and trap support that lets you advance your plays. This card helps you in a support style, but it doesn't advance your plays itself. And you have to wait until your opponent's turn to do anything with it. So you can target a Megalith monster in your graveyard and special summon it. While you won't get its ritual summon effect, you can use its effect of... for the small ones, you can use their ritual summoning effect to summon out more monsters. You can use it as tribute fodder. You can use the large ones' effects of, well, at least Fallig and Eratron. You can use their effects to boost the attack and negate targeting. Other than that, though, it lets you get bodies on the board, which is always nice in ritual decks, but it doesn't do enough for the archetype, in my opinion. And lastly, we have Megalith Promotion. This card has some great artwork, but man, I don't like its effect. It says you can target one level 4 or lower monster you control. Its level becomes double its original level until the end of the turn, even if it leaves the field. You can only use effect once per turn. That's not all that good of an effect, honestly. Yeah, it's searchable and it's a continuous trap, but all it does is modulate your levels, and it only modulates the level 4 monsters. You can't modulate a large one to get tribute fodder for, I don't know, something else, but it's just very frustrating because it didn't need any sort of restrictions on it at all. And you could have even have it do it twice per turn, and it still probably would not be a good card. Yes, you can boost up your level 4 to level 8 to use it as the full tribute of a level 8 monster, but you already went negative searching this card and playing it where it doesn't actually really do anything to get that sort of trade-off. So this is the end of the lineup for these cards, and honestly their spell and traps are pretty underwhelming, especially Promotion. The other two would definitely be good cards if the Megaliths had other spell and traps to really glue the archetype together. These don't really do it, and honestly I kind of wish they had a ritual spell. Now, yes, they can summon out each other, but if you open a hand of, say, Megalith Portal, Megalith Immersion, and then 3 of the small ritual ones, they only get their ritual summon effect on the field, so you would have no way to actually do anything that turn. None of the spell and traps advance your plays. The small ritual ones can't use their ritual summon effect unless they're on the field. So in the end, you need to mix this with other archetypes at the moment to really make it not brick and to make it work. And that's why I think Auk is the best card, because it is a ritual monster that goes well in any ritual deck. It can summon out other ritual monsters from your hand as a quick effect on your opponent's turn. Ophiel is, I would say, second best because it searches out Auk and other decent Megaliths. And Beth Or is good, but it doesn't have anything to search that's worth searching. Anyways, Megaliths have a cool mechanic, bypassing the need of ritual spells. They don't currently have the best effects, but they definitely have the beginnings of a wonderful archetype, and I can't wait to see what they do. So please let me know what you think of the video. Let me know your thoughts on it. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you feel like it. And please feel free to subscribe and ring the notification bell here on YouTube. It would mean a lot to me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Anyways, I will see you later.